Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and again, welcome to another just beautiful night here in the night of Ramadan. Here it's raining, guys, but it's just really beautiful to see all this just come together from across the world. I love what's been happening from all over, so I'm grateful. Again, I want to thank everybody for just sending in anything that is just pertaining to these presentations. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for really just putting in the time to better yourself and get yourself to the next level. And inshallah, on the day of judgment, we will see the consequences of these nights. And inshallah, we'll be standing in the right place. So overall, as we've been moving through these presentations, I just want you to know that all these presentations are meant for something. They're meant for some kind of experience you've gone through. They're meant to develop you in certain ways. They're meant to do different things for different people. And I'm trying to touch on as many different subjects as possible within growth and in character development to really, so down the line, let's say somebody wants to go, or there's a lecture that you thought was really kind of hit on something that you really needed to do. You can go back and you can touch those lectures. You can go back on that. Some of it is within, somewhat has business sense to it. I'm going to actually put a series on my website, just understanding finances and how to become financially capable and setting that up, like where, especially, and I'm going to be direct here, especially for males. I think that's a huge thing for understanding that. And so what the program that you really want to set in your life, and I just want to get a general perspective here before I move forward. And I'm going to tell you which category I've been really concentrating on. So there are 6 categories of responsibility. And the first one is financial. Second one is family and relationships. Third one is character development. Fourth one is spirituality. Fifth one is community. And sixth one is health. Now, what I've been really concentrating on, but before I move into which ones, or I'll just tell you that right now, I've been really concentrating on character development and spirituality. Those are the 2 categories that I've been really feeding a lot of these lectures into. Now, each one of those has its own responsibility. And each one of those you need to take seriously, and you need to live a balanced life. You need to be able to spin all 6 of those at the same time, simultaneously. And once you get really good at finances, you don't have to work as hard. Once you get really good at relationships, you don't have to work as hard. Once you get really good at your own character development, understanding yourself, you don't have to work as hard. Your own spirituality, your community, in terms of your networking, your reputation, all these things, and your health. All these things factor into a healthy personality. And when you're responsible for all these 6 at once. That's the way it works. So what I'm going to do eventually on the website is I'm going to I have already some courses that you could take, and I'm going to be developing these things constantly. So I'm going to be putting courses up constantly in everything that I do. So right now, I'm going to show you in these next 4 presentations. So what I did is I put together a series, a 4-part series, and these are going to show you really why you must pray. Not that you should pray or you shouldn't, like it's like something you should do. No, you have to do it. And not because I'm telling you, in the Quran it says, La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. I cannot compel you to do anything. But for your own mental and emotional health, prayer is a necessity because it nourishes 4 essential things in your own being. There's 4 essential aspects of your own being that it nourishes. And you're going to see how important these 4 are. So every night I'm going to be doing one of these essential elements that prayer actually feeds and it nourishes, and you become developed completely. So your happiness is within your own hands. You don't need a person to make you happy. You don't need money to make you happy. You don't need anything in life. And you're going to see in this first presentation what Imam Ali alayhi salam says about the person who actually finds Allah and the person who actually doesn't find Allah. He's going to give us an understanding, and this is the essence of happiness. So overall, I'm going to be going through that. Now, here's another announcement for people who've been following this. The nights of Laylat al-Qadr, I'm not going to be presenting. They're gonna do a'mal, and they're gonna do other things. So the nights of Laylat al-Qadr, and I'm grateful for that, because I can do my a'mal as well. But and those nights, for starting Monday will be my last night, and then 3 nights after that, then I'm going to continue after that. So Monday I'm going to stop. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll pick up the next Friday in terms of the people who are going to follow this series. The series is in this next 4 parts. So I'm going to do one tonight, one tomorrow, and then we're going to stop. Then there's going to be 2 parts after. So then the next Friday, then Saturday. So I'm sorry for the break, but alhamdulillah, anything for Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So those 3 nights, they're going to be, I guess someone else is going to be doing also majalis. They're going to be doing that. I'm sorry, I don't do majalis. They asked me if I would, but I don't. So otherwise we would have continued, but it's okay. And I love that. I love this month. I love the people who participate in this month. I love the people. And I just want to say really quickly before I move forward, I just want to say thank you for all the people in the background that you don't see. There's a lot of people, guys, that are putting in a lot of hard work in the background. And I talk to them like right before we get on, and we say our salams, and they're really running this stuff, guys. So keep them in your prayers in the next couple nights. They're the real heroes. And they are the people who really go out of their way to really put this stuff together, but they never get noticed. And they conceal their work. That's even better than when it's actually shown. So subhanallah, let's, when we are doing our prayers and when we are doing these things, let's them, keep them in your prayers. And for right now, let's give them a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Today I got a very special book for you. We've been going through different books every night, and this is the book you want to hold on to for the rest of your life, and you want to embed it into your heart, your system, and everything else. And I think you guys are going to know which one I'm talking about. It's actually the Holy Quran, in terms of what it is and what it will do for you. And there's a hadith I want to say real quick about the Holy Quran. And on the Day of Judgment, Allah will say, "Iqra was'ad." That means read and you will ascend. So the more you know of the Quran and the more you have memorized of the Quran, the more you are higher, you will go higher into heaven. So this thing is a very special book. It's not a book of time. It's not a book of, it's a completely different reality. And download of it as much as you can. And in the Quran it says, read Surah Al-Muzammil, Ya ayyuha al-Muzammil, qum al-layli illa qalila. So wake up in the middle of the night and read as much of it as you can. And it's incredible about these kinds of things in terms of we're staying up in the month of Ramadan. So that being said, let's get into the presentation. And tonight we're going to be talking about a 4-part series, as I mentioned. And these are the essential things within a human being that will be fed by and nourished by prayer. And what are these things? We're going to find out. And what I've done, guys, is this. I've taken psychology and I've taken religion, and I've shown you how I've given you a psychological perspective, and I'm giving you what? A religious perspective under each one. So the next 4 parts, we're going to present the concept, and then we're going to see what psychology says about it. Then we're going to see what also religion says about it. And that's going to be the series moving forward for the next 4 nights. All right, so here we go, guys. Take some good notes. Again, I appreciate all the people who are sending in the notes. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Keep moving, keep developing yourself. Let's move. All right, so number 1, prayer. It's split up into 4 things in terms of the 4 aspects that are going to be what? Fed. It will feed and it will nourish these things for you as a person. All right, number 1, al-bawh. Al-bawh literally means disclosure, meaning a tanfis. The person who has to vent. We have to vent. All right, so that's the first one. All right, here, you need to go. You need to go now. All right. All right, so excuse me, guys. All right, so that's number 1. Okay, al-bawh. Number 2 is al-intima. Al-intima is a sense of belonging. Okay, a sense of belonging to what? All right, it's a sense of belonging in terms of you feeling like your identity is intact. These are your principles. This is the flag you're under. That's what it feeds as well. Number 3, at-taqdeer, to be valued. And I'm going to explain that one and the way it works. Every night, I'm going to be going into one of these categories. And al-rasid al-amali is developing your willpower, developing who you are as a person, be able to say no to certain things. I'm sure throughout your day, temptations happen, and sometimes we succumb to those temptations in terms of what you're doing. And sometimes what? No, we tell ourselves no, and we go towards self-respect. I'm going to show you how each one of these works and how salah feeds into that. And each one of these, we're going to go psychology and we're going to go religion. All right. So al-bawh, disclosure in terms of psychology and religion. Let's see what psychology says about these kinds of things and some of the dangers that if you don't disclose, you don't have people you could trust, you don't have people you can vent to, you're going to see some problems that can happen in terms of psychological and mental health problems. Number 1. All right, so let's figure out what this is. Okay, venting and self-release are when things become really difficult and you need to vent to someone. For example, if you feel like someone has oppressed you, somebody has oppressed you, you need to let go. We're designed that way. We're actually designed to actually vent out to others, release. We need to remove the toxins and those poisonous words that have taken effect on our nature. So I'll give you an example. How many of you sometimes you walk around and you feel horrible, but you don't know why? You don't know why it's happened to you. Every one of us has experienced this. We've all experienced that feeling where I'm just walking around, there's a rain cloud following me. Okay, why does this happen? Basically is because you either need to vent, okay, where it's women, this is what they do most of the time. Women just, when they want to deal with problems, they just want to vent. Men, they want to solve the problem. They want to get an equation. They need logic, okay? Women need emotion, men need logic. That's how it works. I'm not saying that men are smarter. No, that's not what we're talking about. It's just the way they deal with things, okay, in terms of these types of aspects. Now, ultimately, when we need to vent, al-bawh is that. We need to disclose, we need to release, we need to take off. So it's like the pressure that's building in a steam cooker, okay? And it needs to be, when it goes off, it releases the pressure. It's the same thing. Now, what happens if you keep the pressure inside and you implode? This is where problems and psychological problems actually happen because you're not dealing with situations properly. Your coping mechanisms are off. Now let's look at what psychology says in terms of emotional coping. All right, so there's 2 types of coping. Remember, go back to some of the presentations where I talked about emotional coping and problem coping. That was done extensively, but today I'm going to go into some of the problems even further and what they cause if you don't do that. So again, I told you all these presentations are connected. They're connected somewhere down the line. So everything has a connection. All right, so now I've talked about problem coping, emotional coping. Now I'm going to use it within a bigger presentation. So it's part of a bigger presentation. So emotional coping is, in psychology, there are 2 types of coping, as we said. And first, there's emotional coping in which we vent out to others in terms of our emotions. Guys, we just said, this is what, at the end of the day, this is the way we cope with stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, some of us, what we do here, and I'm going to be very, very straight with you. Some of us, we don't know how to deal with stress. We don't know how to deal with anxiety, and we don't know how to deal with depression. Okay. So, and I'm sorry. You have to be real with yourself here. Every one of us has got a psychologist, every one of us. And that's usually our best friend. When something goes wrong, when we're stressed out, we're anxious, or we're depressed, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to say, hey man, the world's done this to me. This person's done that to me. This opportunity failed. My child isn't doing horrible. I said, you need to release. Okay. So we do that all the time, each one of us, and it's usually our best friend. We seek that kind of thing. Now, where this becomes a problem is when you don't know how to deal with the stress, and you don't know how to deal with the anxiety, and you don't know how to deal with the depression. And the person, on the other end of the line, can they really help you? In terms of, we talked about some of the friends that yesterday, and if you don't watch that one, please go back and watch that one. The 5 friends you need to stay away from, and the 5 people you need to never make as a friend or associate with. That's a very important presentation. Why? Because it's going to give you an understanding of who to mix into your life. Okay. So when you call that person, and one of those people is what we talked about yesterday, there's 5 different types. They're not going to help you in your stress. They're not going to help you in your anxiety, and they're not going to help you in your depression. Some people actually get off and they get happy when there's something wrong with you because they're jealous. Or you have friends that are like that. Like Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, a friend who's jealous, that's a defect in his love towards you. So you got to be very careful with the people you surround yourself and who you pick up the phone and call. It's very important you understand that. Okay. So now, in terms of coping, if we don't emotionally release, here's what can happen in terms of the causes. Okay. Number one thing it can cause is numbness. A lot of people, we go to this numb state. We think it's okay. We think this is the best thing I could do. You know what? I've turned off my emotions. I don't want to feel anymore. Why? Because I don't want to deal with the ugliness of that. So I become numb. I literally take a shot, a mental shot, and I plug it into my heart, and I release this even lethal. It's a lethal poison. Numbness is a lethal poison. You just got to understand how to deal with the situation. It's a coping mechanism that you're dealing with a problem, but it's the wrong type of mechanism. Watch. Here's what happens. Okay. Emotional numbness, here's what it does. Is the mental and emotional process of shutting down our feelings. You're shutting down your emotions. Okay. This is the wrong way to deal with a problem. While emotional numbness blocks out or shuts down negative feelings, this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to actually shut this system down. I'm trying to make myself not feel the pain of what I'm going through. So what do? I learn how to become numb. It's like a tranquilizer. I just become numb, but I become useless. It's not moving me in the right way, but I rather feel numb than feel pain. That's what you're doing. You're just replacing an emotion, and you've learned how to do it. So you just watch what you do though, where you shut down the whole system. You don't just shut down the negative emotions. Watch what happens. And negative feelings and experiences. It also shuts down the ability to experience pleasure, engage in positive interactions in social activities. It's crazy what you're doing to yourself, okay? And interferes with openness for intimacy, problems in relationships, okay? Social interests. I don't want to do anything anymore. I just rather lay in bed, okay? And problem-solving skills shuts this down. Your neocortex, your ability to solve problems, it shuts it down because that's it. I've given up, but I shut down the whole system. That's not what you do. When you have something that goes off, let's say you have an electrical box, okay? And one switch or one circuit goes down. You don't go shut down the whole main. You don't do that. You don't shut down the whole electricity for the whole house. You go back and you find the circuit and you turn it back on. That's what you do. This is where you have to have the right type of friends. This is where you have to have the right type of mentors. This is where you have to have the right people around you, that when you hit and you go further down in negativity, okay, you need the right people around you. You need the right support group in terms of what you're doing. That's very important. All right. So as you can see, these can lead to what? Problems in terms of mental and emotional problems. Okay. And it has long-term side effects, by the way, but I'm not going to get into that, but we'll go from there. Now, problem coping. What is problem coping? The second is problem coping in terms of how we listen to our own wants and needs, and then we want a solution. We're no longer just dealing with the emotion. Now we're on a cognitive level where now, like, listen, I need to figure out that 1 + 1 = 2. So I need to learn something new. I need to learn how to figure out this problem. I become a problem solver. If you haven't watched the lecture about the 6 characteristics of how to outperform, what top performers do to outperform others, there's 6 characteristics that we went across in terms of the number one thing is they are really good problem solvers. Okay. This is where you're learning how to deal with life. Life comes up, and we said in another lecture prior to this, that problems and challenges, that was getting into flow, the flow presentation, where challenges and skill set, your skill set and challenges of life are going to clash. And we said problems and challenges are like waves of an ocean. They will never stop coming. So you better get really good at solving problems. And we talked about the first problem when you came out of your mother's womb was to breathe. The second was to get milk, and it just gets more and more and more difficult. Well, that's life. You were born to solve problems. So get really good at it. That's what you need to do in terms of these kinds of things. And when it becomes that simple, you were like, oh my God, like, why am I running away from these things? This is actually, and what happens when you cross a certain threshold, you become addicted to actually problem solving. You become addicted. You need challenges. Otherwise, you become bored. And why? Because there's a natural pleasure within that. And Allah Azza wa Jal has put that in us, that almost all positive emotion is goal pursuit emotion. And goals are something, problems that have not been solved. So problem solving is addictive. And it's incredible how you can get to these kinds of levels just by learning how to solve problems. All right. So number 2, what do you usually talk to? Who do you usually talk to? Okay. The person who you usually vent to is the person who you trust. Now, this is when you're coping, but problem coping. You vent to the person who you trust, makes you feel safe, who is available and helpful, a person who listens, a therapist, a trusted friend, or an authority figure. These are the people you usually go to. All right, family members. Now, that's what we said in terms of when you're venting. All right, what is it when you are let's say you're venting. Now you go back, and at the end, you should get to this point where you problem cope, not just vent. You vent, then you problem cope. Men usually are here. They do this right away. Women, they want to go through this level first, then they get to this. All right. Men just want to go take a shortcut because that's the way they're wired. They're normally wired that way. Now, layouts, and again, I'm not saying someone's smarter. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying in terms of the gender differences. I'm just giving you the basic physiology of how we work normally. It's not all the time. This is majority minority, and the differences are some. You have CEOs who are Fortune 500 companies who are women. So it's not about these kinds of things. It's just there's a natural tendency that we have. So from here, when you problem cope, you lay out a plan and you set direction. This is the difference. This is the difference of how people problem cope versus emotionally cope. You got to learn the difference between the two and how to utilize those 2 mechanisms. All right. So that's the way it works in terms of these kinds of things. Now, so we said that if we don't vent, okay, we'll have internal problems, psychological and mental and emotional problems. We can create numbness and other things. By the way, I'm just giving you some examples in terms of that. So that's what psychology says. Now let's go to religion and how religion is the antidote to these kinds of things. I've given you some antidotes in terms of the psychological level. Let's see what religion is and who to really vent to. Who? Do I just call a friend and just say, hey, listen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or who do I call upon? How do I do it? Why is this part of a mechanism that I have? Why do I even do this in terms of when I call out? All right, so watch this. Let's move now to religion. That was psychology. We're going to move to religion. Now, in this, it's very important. I'm going to go through this extensive aspect, but I was supposed to actually do these one by one, but it's okay. Now, actually, you know what? Here, give me 1 second. I'm just going to do it really quickly. All right, here we go. All right, so from here, what is venting? What is venting? We talked about what is psychology and what it says in terms of venting and problem aspects of understanding how to relieve myself when I'm facing stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, who is the ultimate being to vent to? When Imam Ali alayhi salam in Dua Kumail, he says, Allahumma ighfir li ad-dunub allati tanzulu al-bala. Allahumma ighfir li ad-dunub allati tuhbisu ad-du'a. Okay, Allah forgive. He's venting. Okay, and he says, Ya Allah, he says, if you were to put me in the pits of your hell, he says, Ya Allah, if you were to put me in the worst position possible, I will still call on you. I will still put my problems in your what? Hands. Now, I'm going to give you 4 layers really quickly in terms of being able to let go of control. All right. So number 1, take these down if you can. I'm going to go through them really quickly because I don't have time. Now, number 1 is tawakkul. Number 2 is taslim. Number 3 is, and I've gone through this before, but I want to give it to you again in terms of just the repetition factor. And number 4 is al-fana. Tawakkul is actually taking your problem. So whatever you're facing, you have the stress, you have the anxiety, you have the depression. Okay, being able to psychologically do this, and I'm not telling you that, listen, this takes practice. You need to work on yourself to do these things and to download this stuff into your system. I love something in terms of Will Smith says something to his wife, and it's beautifully put in terms of the wisdom that it has. And Will Smith goes, I'm not responsible for your happiness. He's telling his wife that, listen, I'm not responsible for me creating this happiness inside of you. You're responsible for that. You're the person who's responsible in terms of creating that security in the heart. And please, 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 if you can, go back to the character, building character, how to build character. That presentation is all about what I'm going to talk about right now. But this is, again, I'm using past presentations in a segment now instead of them being the presentation itself. They're actually part of a bigger layered system, okay? So now, from here, when we vent to Allah, it's incredible now who we're connected to. Why? Because at the end of the day, please listen to this. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, seek certainty. Certainty. I'm sorry. This is just so exciting to me. When you find these things, these are like gems, I swear to you. They're like gems for the mind and for your soul, for your heart. And just once you plug them in properly, it's incredible what happens. It's incredible what kind of power you possess in terms of self-regulation. You can stay calm and confident and just not move. Now, this is what he says. He says, seek security. So how do we seek security? Let's say a person is insecure. He gives us the antidote. He says, seek security in patience, as-sabr wal-yaqeen. Patience and what? And certainty. As-sabr wal-yaqeen. Certainty in what? As-sabr has 3 different levels. All right? As-sabr ala al-ma'siyah, as-sabr ala al-ta'a, as-sabr 'inda al-ma'siyah, wal-sabr 'inda al-na'ibah. What those mean is sabr, having patience when you have to what? You have to Do what Allah has commanded. Fast. That takes sabr. You have to follow the rules. That takes sabr. He says, seek security in these things. Then the second level, he says, seek security within what? When sabr عند المعصية, you're about to commit a sin, you have to hold back. The first one you have to do, you have to push forward. I have to fast. This temptation comes to me. I say no. That's sabr. That's a form of sabr. Number 3 is a sabr عند النائبة. عند النائبة is when a person is hit with calamity, meaning just hardship. It's out of your control. This is a test. It's a challenge from Allah. I'm not the person who's put myself in this situation. Allah's testing me. Then Allah says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. I will not burden you beyond your capacity. I know what you can handle. So anything, any challenge in terms of that, I do what? I'm doing it to propel you forward. I'm making you, I'm refining you. I'm building your strength in terms of your willpower. That's what Allah's doing when He puts us in these kinds of situations. Now, I want you to make a really small distinction before I move forward, and please pay attention to this. Okay? The distinction is this, is the first two are under my control. The last one is Allah testing me. That's under Allah's control. Everything's under Allah's control. But I have influence. I have to make decisions in terms of these kinds of things. Most of us, what do? We go that, oh, this is a test from Allah. Because we want to make ourselves feel better. We remove the responsibility and we say, you know what? I committed this sin, but Allah's just testing me. No, you had control. The first two categories are underneath your control. You can actually influence the result. This, Allah's just testing you. This is something that it's an opportunity to grow from Allah. It's a blessing. Trust me, it's a blessing. Now, on this side, you have to make that distinction. This is underneath my control. This is not underneath my control. And then right away, when something goes bad, we say, oh, it's just a test. It is a test. But look at what you need to repair. Look at what you need to do in terms of these kinds of things where you failed. You have to make that distinction. So Allah Azza wa Jal is the ultimate place to vent. Why? Because seek certainty in what? In Him. That's a sabr. Then He says al-yaqeen. Al-yaqeen is what? Is knowing that Allah has control over everything. He's ultimately in control. And then when I go down into sujood and my forehead hits my point of supplication, I've not descended, I've ascended. How? Because the second, I want you to imagine this, the second your forehead touches that spot, that's the most powerful position on the face of this earth. Why? Your dignity of your face is at the lowest point. You cannot get any lower than what I'm talking about. And when that happens, that's where the finite, meaning you're finite, meets the absolute. That's where limited power meets absolute power. That's where limited strength meets absolute strength. That's where a partial ability meets the absolute ability. So when you look at that way and you submit and you don't suspend, you actually rise. That's the power of sujood. Learn that to gain your power, to refill. Excuse me, guys, give me 1 second. Okay, so now, guys, on this level, you got to understand that when you as a person, this is where you can come to your deepest, you can come to Allah with your deepest secrets, your ultimate problems. from your own insecurities to other people's pressing nature against you. So guys, you got to understand, please. Here, when you connect to Allah, your prayer is everything now. This is your ultimate security. It's the security for your own heart. It's security for your own understanding. Inna Allah ja'ala dhikr jila'an lil qulub. Allah has made dhikr, the remembrance of Him, an enlightenment and a medicine for the heart. Imam Ali alayhi salam says that. Then he says, he will see past his blindness, he will hear past his deafness, and his heart will obey. Meaning the heart connects to the right things through dhikr. Through that dhikr, that concept of dhikr, meaning remembering Allah, and your heart is attached there. What happens? Now your eyes will have insight. You will be aware. Your ears will, you will hear past your deafness. Again, that's a form of insight. Then your heart will obey. Then he finally says after this, when your heart submits, and now you no longer can wait just to be in sujood in front of Allah. Then he says the final stage of dhikr is enlightenment where? In the mind, where Allah then swims in between your thoughts. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. And know that Allah is what? In between you and your own heart. Meaning Allah is in between your wit. He's there. He's in your thought process. And when you take a split second later and you remember Allah, the next couple of thoughts, He will guide your way, because He will do ilham. Ilham will give you guidance. Thoughts will come to you from nowhere. And that's beautiful. Now let's move forward on this. Okay, prayer is an opportunity for what? For you to complain, express, and release or vent your emotions, in terms of which is what? Problem coping. We mentioned problem coping. Prayer now is, this is where you sit in the middle of the night and you say, Ya Allah, I have these issues. Ya Allah, I'm not feeling healthy. Ya Allah, I want to work out. I need to work on myself. Ya Allah, I didn't study for the exam. Ya Allah, all my problems, I can vent out to Allah. This is where you can be absolutely bare, because Allah, He knows what's in your heart. He knows what's in there. He knows if Allah Azza wa Jal is in. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, if you say something, He sees it. And if you hide something, He knows it. It's in your heart. He's there. So then you can express, you can tell Him whatever you want. I don't feel like I'm a good person here. I need to work on myself. Ya Allah, help me. Ya Allah, I need this. Please, I want to get married to this person. They're a really good person. I think they're the best thing for me. They're a mu'min. They're this, and maybe my parents are not accepting or whatever. Okay, and there's terms of these kinds of things. Okay, pray out to Allah. He's got the ultimate control of everything. Vent to Him. Not just your friend in terms of, not just a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever it is. Vent to them. Okay, I'm not telling you not to gain and seek if they can help you. I'm not saying that. But you need to also create a connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. This is a healthy aspect of dealing with certain things where spirituality comes into a completely different level now. Here, in terms of earning the right mechanisms, now your brain will connect to what? The dua, what the words are being said. It fires off that, it connects to your hormonal systems, it releases that, and now you feel different. Your heart feels soft, and you begin to cry. You say, Allah, I've done wrong things. Forgive me. Help me. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I've committed sins against myself. You go to Dua Kumail, he says, ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي وَتَجَرَّأْتُ بِجَهْلِي. Says, I've wronged myself. I've oppressed myself. And I've become so bold with my ignorance that I've stepped and crossed your lines. Forgive me, Ya Allah. Help me. I need you. When you start talking like that, the heart becomes soft. This is a medicine. Where later on in Dua Kumail says, Ya man ismuhu dawa wa dhikruhu shifa wa ta'atahu ghina. Says, if you follow him, it's what? I don't need anything else. And watch what Imam Ali alayhi salam says at the end of this presentation. Okay? it's ismuhu dawa. It's mentioning. You mention the word Allah. Imagine the person who's like that. That when they mention the word Allah, it says in the Quran, kharru sujjada. They bow down in prostration and they cry just by dhikr of Allah. This is the softness of the heart and what happens when you train the heart to attach to the right concepts. This is the most beautiful thing. And you allow the nur of Allah to come into your heart, which is already there, but it's just sins have covered it. The wrong ideas have covered it. The wrong emotions have covered it because it's part of your fitrah. It's part of your innate knowledge. Allah's placed it there. His fingerprints, His logo is in your heart already. It's already there. You just need to uncover it. That's all it is. So now, from here, in the Quran, it says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَى فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. And guys, like, to me, when I listen to this, and it's incredible in terms of the presentation, it's like when he says that وَيُؤْمِنُوا وَلِيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. When I'm looking at this and I say, okay, and when my servant questions thee concerning me. So when you ask about Allah, he's talking to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tell him that I am what? I am near. Then surely I tell him that surely I am near. I'm right there. Okay. I answer the prayer of the supplicant when he cries unto me. When he cries. So let them hear my call and let them trust in me. That is huge. وَلِيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. Let them trust in me in order that they may be led aright. Allah is promising you as-sirat al-mustaqim so you can get there. Trust in Allah. Let go in terms of the four things, okay? In terms of the tawakkul, which is I give to Allah. Taslim, I let go in the present moment, okay? I didn't finish out those things. Again, there's some things I just rather just the presentation, how it goes, I'd rather just put them aside for now because I can cover them later. But Taslim is letting go. So we said Musa's mother, when she let go and she protected the child and she submitted to Allah in terms of putting the child in an open place versus what? A secure area, which is what logic would dictate. But Iman, alhamaha Allah, so Allah has guided her heart. And he said, push him out, I will take care of it. So like letting go of consequences. This is taslim. You put the responsibility in Allah's hands. And the last one, then whatever happens when you make the decision, it's a rida. A lot of us, we say, okay, ya Allah, I'm just going to go for it. And you take care of it. And it doesn't work out the way we want it. So now what? I'm not, my heart is, it's not satisfied. It's not content. It's not, why? Because things didn't work out the way. Why, ya Allah? Why did you do that to me? We start blaming Allah. You realize what you're saying when you do that? Like, these are things like, look what he's saying to you here in terms of this verse. Okay. And trust in me. Trust in what I'm doing for you. Okay. Have thiqa billah, meaning that I have trust in you, that whatever I'm going to lose, you're going to reward it back. That's what you're going to do. This is better for me. Okay. And read the dua al-iftitah, which we do a lot here in these nights. Is beautiful dua. Go through it. All right. Last thing, guys, in terms of the religious aspect, and Imam Ali alayhi salam, this is so beautiful. And he says, Ilahi mandal mada Ilahi mada wajaduka man faqaduka. And he says, like, Subhanallah, wa mada alladhi faqadu ma wajadak. Okay, really listen to this because it's so beautiful. Okay, what has a person gained who has found you? And what has a person lost who hasn't found you? So really think about this. Watch. He's saying, look what Imam Ali is saying. He says, if I found you, that, okay, I don't care about finding anything else. If I find you, I don't care about finding anyone or anything else. And if I can't find you, then I don't care to find anything else. Really think about that. He's saying that there's a place in your heart for Allah. And if that's not placed properly, you will never feel secure. You will never feel it. No money will ever make you feel secure. No health. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, no wealth or health will ever make you feel secure. You're always going to feel, you may have different worries, okay? You may feel like, okay, I'm financially stable, but there's always going to be problems. Always, no matter what. The only way to gain security in this world is to plug Allah's name into the right slot, which is in your own heart. That key is the only key on the face of this earth that will make you feel secure. Nothing else, I promise you, from my own experiences and from experiencing, and I've swam through thousands of minds, I have. And from all that experience, it always comes back to spirituality. I deal with high-level executives, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. I'm dealing with billionaires in terms of these kinds of people. I was sitting with one person, a billionaire, 2 hours in a meeting. After the 2 hours, he was crying to me because I hit him so hard in terms of where his wounds are and where he's cut. It doesn't matter the amount of money. No money can give you security. It's needed. We need to go after money. You need to make your life right. But money is a means to a goal. It's not the goal. Once it becomes a goal, it becomes a problem. You have a disease then inside. It needs to be a means to a goal. Your parents are means to a goal. Your money is a means to a goal. Your computer is a means to a goal. Everything is a means to Allah, where you need to end up. So there's a spot in your heart that Imam Ali is talking about that only Allah fits. But unfortunately, here's what we do. We try to fill that spot with the wrong code, with the wrong entity, with the wrong thing. Some of us, people, we try to fall in love with such a person, which is beautiful. It's great. It's amazing. If that person brings you to Allah and they bring you closer to your own perfection, that's how it works. You need to have people like that in your life that bring you closer to your own perfection. And who is the ultimate perfection? Who is absolute perfection? It's Allah Azza wa Jal. So the closer you get to your own perfection, the closer you are getting to Allah. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, وَأَدْنِيَنِي مِنْ قُرْبِكَ. Bring me closer to you, so bring me closer to my own perfection. That's how it works. The way you can create security in the heart, okay, and this is the antidote to everything, is when you do that right and you place that slot with the right code, mentally, emotionally, your whole body and your whole being turns on. And it's a new awakening. And some of our ulama have mentioned that there's 2 births: your physical birth and your spiritual birth. Physical birth is from your mom. Spiritual birth is when you find Allah Azza wa Jal in your heart. And now prayer just feeds that mechanism. Religion feeds that mechanism. Everything about you, every cell in your body will change, because now it's vibrating, and every cell has the name of Allah in it. If you can do that, that every thought in your mind, when it fires, it's connected to Allah Azza wa Jal, which is the last level, al-rida, then al-fana. Al-fana, out of the 4 things that I talked about, al-tawakkul, al-taslim, al-rida, wal-fana. Al-fana is the stage of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the A'immah alayhim salam, where all they saw is Allah. Everywhere I turned, everywhere I look, now the heart is fully engaged with Allah. It's always, Allah's always present in that person. Every cell in the body is connected. It's downloaded the right system. So guys, in terms of these nights, you have an upcoming opportunity. And Layal al-Qadr are the nights of apportionment, meaning that they're coming, they're right around the corner. Don't spend them at home. Well, now we're quarantined, so we must. But spend them with Allah, even if you are at home. And ask Allah on these nights. Allah, qalbi mahjoob, in the dua, okay, we have, it says, my heart is sealed and I cannot unleash it. I don't know how. Ya Allah, open it for me. I don't know how to feel good. I have problems with depression. I have problems with anxiety. I have problems with stress. Allah, help me. Start off with that code and just go into sujood and do it privately. Do it between you and Allah. Hide even your prayers. If you have people around you that will actually judge you, hide it. Even while you're just sitting there, just think of Allah and watch what will happen, and that transformation of your whole system will engage and will run to a completely different tune. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, inshallah. Please keep us in your dua.